Welcome to Lost in Thailand. We're glad you're here. Sit back, relax, and dive into another unforgettable story from the hidden corners of Southeast Asia. We hope it moves you, surprises you, maybe even teaches you something along the way. Today's story is called Love, Lies, and 3 Million Baht, My Thai Disaster. But before we begin, what would you have done in this situation? Let us know in the comments. We always read them. Let's begin. When I first arrived in Thailand, I wasn't looking for love. I had just turned 60 and decided to finally follow through on a long-time dream, to live a quieter, simpler life in Southeast Asia. I spent my first week in Bangkok, staying at a small hotel in the Siloam area. Exploring the city with wide eyes and cautious steps, I found Chinatown fascinating but quickly realized I couldn't live in such a bustling area long-term. Bangkok wasn't for me. It was too chaotic, too overwhelming. So I headed north to Chiang Mai. The vibe there was completely different, calmer, more relaxed. It had charm, no doubt, but still, it didn't feel like home. Phuket was beautiful. Hua Hin was pleasant, but none of them clicked. Oddly enough, it was the little towns between those popular destinations that caught my eye. They felt more authentic, more livable. I often traveled by bus, stopping for a few nights here and there, until I eventually settled in Pattaya. By the way, if you're enjoying the story so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Lost in Thailand, so you don't lose the channel and never miss the next chapter. There, I rented a small condo far from the beach, somewhere quiet. That's when my vacation began to feel like real life. I quickly fell into a routine. I'd go out for a walk, read, sometimes pop into a local bar. It was during one of those evenings that I met her. She was 32, not too young, not too old, just right. We struck up a conversation. I bought her a drink, then another. We talked, laughed, and by the end of the night, I felt a connection I hadn't felt in years. I hadn't come to Thailand to meet someone. Honestly, I was used to being alone. Back in the UK, I didn't have many friends, and I assumed I'd carry that solitude with me here. Maybe that's why I didn't see it coming. Maybe that's why I didn't question things. I returned to the same bar a few more times, each time hoping to see her again. Eventually, I asked if she'd like to spend some time together outside the bar. She agreed. We went out for dinner, then wandered into another bar nearby. The night felt easy, natural. Her name was Noi. She was from a town near the Laos border called Muang Mahon. She had a 4-year-old child from a previous relationship and had been working in Pattaya's bar scene for 2 years. She said she was ready to settle down. She seemed kind, delicate in a way I hadn't experienced before. And she made me feel seen, needed, even loved. Noi had this way of making me feel at peace. She spoke in a soft voice, always asked questions, always listened. We'd sit for hours, talking about her life back in Mahon, about raising her son, the struggles of sending money home every month. In return, I told her about my life in England, the cold winters, the long days working retail, the loneliness. I started to believe that maybe, just maybe, we could fill in the gaps in each other's lives. 2 months after we met, I asked her to quit her job and move in with me. I told her I'd take care of the money she was sending to her family. She mentioned it was about 20,000 baht per month. I agreed to cover it. I also gave her an extra 10,000 baht each month for her own expenses. I didn't even stop to think if that was too much. I was in too deep already. And honestly, it felt good to help her. It felt like love. Or what I thought love should feel like. A few months later, she asked if I wanted to visit her family. At first I hesitated. I wasn't sure how they'd react to a foreigner like me. But then I figured I'd been sending money every month. Surely they'd be happy to see me. She didn't pressure me, she just said it would mean a lot. So, we took a long bus ride to Ubon Ratchathani, and from there, a pickup truck drove us to her village. It was rural, quiet, a different world from Pattaya. Her family lived in a small wooden house with a corrugated metal roof. When I arrived, they welcomed me with warm smiles and plates full of ice and food. I felt like part of the family almost immediately. It was touching. That night, I thought to myself, I did the right thing, choosing Noi. At some point, They even joked about us getting married right there in the village. I laughed it off, but the truth is, I was already halfway convinced. A few weeks later, back in Pattaya, we started planning a wedding. It all happened fast, but I didn't mind. For once, life felt exciting again. During our visit, her family had mentioned that their house needed repairs. The roof leaked, and the floors were damaged. I didn't think much of it at the time, but on the way back, Noi brought it up again. She said she wanted to help them live better and asked for a few thousand baht to fix things. It didn't seem like much, and I already felt a bond with her family, so I agreed without hesitation. Honestly, I was happy to help. It felt like the right thing to do. I even gave them a small cash gift during the wedding. Though now I wonder if I should have told them to use that money for repairs instead. But at the time, it didn't matter. We were starting a life together. A simple life. A real life. That's what I kept telling myself. Soon after the house repairs, Noi started talking more about the future, our future. She said Pattaya wasn't a place to build a real family. Too noisy, too chaotic. Her dream, she told me, was to build a small home on her family's land back in Mahon. Somewhere peaceful, surrounded by rice fields. And I'll be honest, I loved that idea. I had fallen for the calmness of her village. It felt more real than anything in the tourist zones. I still had money enough to make it happen. So we found a local builder, and within months, the house was nearly finished. It was modest 2 bedrooms and a small living room, but it was ours. I remember standing in the doorway one evening, watching the sun dip behind the trees, thinking, this is it, this is home. Life with Noi felt easy, natural. We barely argued, we laughed, we dreamed together. I finally felt like I belonged somewhere, but then the bills started piling up. Every week, Noi came to me with something new. The builders needed more cement. The kitchen needed better plumbing. The tiles had to be replaced. I didn't question it, not at first. It made sense. I wanted a good home too, but deep down, a small voice was asking, how much more? I ignored it. I wanted to believe in us. I wanted this to be real. After all, I had already come this far. Eventually, the house was done. I had spent nearly 3 million baht, far more than I expected. But seeing Noi's joy, the pride on her parents' faces, it felt worth it. For the first time in years, I felt like I had built something lasting, a future. Around that time, Noi told me she wanted to open a small store, groceries, household goods, basic supplies for the village. It would give her something to do, she said. It would help support the family. I thought it sounded like a good idea, something manageable. So I gave her another 500,000 baht to get started. We built a small structure near the road, right on her family's land. Stocked it with supplies, snacks, drinks, household items. We even bought a motorbike for deliveries. She said no one else was offering delivery service in the village, and that this would set her shop apart. Noi seemed happy, energized, and for a while, I believed we were on the right path. But the shop didn't do well. The village was small, too small to support a business. There just weren't enough customers. Noi kept asking me for more money to keep it going. Just a little more, she'd say. Soon it will be fine. But weeks passed, then months. I was dipping deeper into my savings, and before I knew it, another 500,000 baht had vanished. I suggested we shut the store down, but Noi insisted it just needed more time, more investment. Around the same time, her family started asking for help again. Her father needed a new motorbike. Her mother had medical bills. Her son needed school supplies. It was always something. At first I didn't mind, but gradually I began to feel used. Still, I kept telling myself this was what relationships were about. Compromise, support, building a life together. I wanted to believe it would all work out, that eventually we'd find our balance, that the sacrifices would be worth it. Then came the next idea, rice farming. There's land not being used, she said. We could grow rice and make a good living. I wasn't sure. It seemed like a big leap. But Noi was convincing. She talked about security, about building a future. So I invested another 1 million baht. We bought equipment, seeds, fertilizer. I paid workers to help, but when harvest time came, The returns were dismal, maybe 10,000 baht worth of rice. I was stunned, all that money gone. Noi told me not to worry. She smiled, said next season would be better, but I wasn't convinced anymore. Something inside me was starting to crack. My savings were drying up, and Noi had changed. She was colder now, less affectionate. She didn't talk about our future anymore. She spent more time with her family than with me. I tried to bring it up, but she always had an excuse. She was tired, she was busy, she was stressed. Always something. One day, I came home from running errands, and as soon as I walked through the door, she asked for more money. Something urgent again. I asked what it was for, and her answer was vague. Too vague. That's when I pushed back. I told her I'd already given so much, and I needed to protect what little I had left. That moment broke something between us. She got angry, stormed into the bedroom, packed a bag, and slammed the door behind her as she left. I called her name, tried to stop her, asked her to stay and talk, but she didn't turn around. That was the last time I saw her. After she left, the bills kept coming. The farm wasn't producing. The shop was losing money. And because the house was in her name, I had no legal claim to anything. I couldn't even sell it to recover my losses. I was stuck, watching everything I built slip away. My pension, my investments, my hope for a new life. Eventually, with only about 500,000 baht left, I made the hard decision to return to the UK. I sold what I could, packed what little I had, and booked a flight. When I arrived, I had no home, no job, and no real savings left. For a while, I stayed with a friend. Then I managed to get a government-subsidized apartment. I even applied for unemployment benefits just to keep food on the table. It was one of the darkest periods of my life. But the worst part wasn't losing the money. It was realizing that she never truly loved me. She cared about what I could give her, not who I was. And I let myself believe in something that wasn't real. I ignored every warning sign because I was lonely and wanted to believe in the dream. Looking back, I can't believe how naive I was. I walked right into a trap I thought I was too smart to fall for. But it happened, and it cost me everything. Now I'm 60, working part-time in the UK, trying to rebuild a life from the ground up. I still think about Thailand, but not with the same wonder I once did. Yes, it's a beautiful country, but it's not the paradise I imagined. I've learned the hard way that not everyone has your best interests at heart. I still follow Thai news. I still dream, sometimes, but I'm more cautious now. And to anyone thinking about moving there, please be careful. Don't be like me. If I could go back in time, I would tell myself to slow down. To listen to that small voice in the back of my mind that was whispering, "This is too fast. Be careful." I would have protected my finances better. I wouldn't have built a house on land that wasn't mine. I wouldn't have invested in a shop or a farm without a solid plan. And I definitely wouldn't have handed over money so easily without guarantees or accountability. But I was blinded not by love, but by the idea of love. The hope of a new beginning, of belonging, of finally having someone who cared. I wanted it so badly that I ignored every red flag. And that's the danger, isn't it? When we're desperate for something, we make ourselves vulnerable to being used. I wasn't stupid. I was just hungry for something real. And someone saw that and took advantage of it. That's what hurts the most. To be clear, I don't hate her, and I don't think all Thai women are like her. I believe there are good people everywhere, and people who will use you everywhere. I just happened to cross paths with someone who saw me as a stepping stone, not a partner. Maybe she didn't even realize what she was doing. Maybe she believed it would work out at first. But when things got tough, she chose her own comfort over our life together. I don't blame Thailand either. I know a lot of people who've built wonderful lives there, but they did it carefully. They went in with eyes wide open. I didn't. I went chasing a dream and came back with a nightmare. If you're planning a move, especially with romance involved, protect yourself. Don't put everything in someone else's name. Don't drain your savings. Don't ignore your instincts. And never believe that money equals love. I hope someday I can return to Thailand. Not to chase the past, but maybe to find peace. I still love the food, the culture, the beauty of the land. I still believe it's possible to have a good life there. But if I ever go back, it'll be different. No more illusions. No more blind trust. Just me, living simply, cautiously, with hard-earned wisdom. If this story helps even one person avoid what I went through, then maybe it was all worth something. Sometimes I wonder what she's doing now. Whether the house is still standing. Whether the store ever reopened. Whether the farm ever turned a profit. I wonder if she thinks of me. If she regrets how it all ended. But I don't dwell on it for long. I've spent too much time looking backward already. It's time to look ahead. My future may not be what I imagined, but it's still mine to shape. And that, at least, gives me some hope. I'm learning to rebuild, slowly. I found part-time work, nothing glamorous, but enough to keep me afloat. I started walking more, talking to people again, reconnecting with parts of life I had ignored for too long. I don't have much, no fancy house, no savings, no romantic partner, but I have a roof over my head and a second chance. I'm trying to make peace with my mistakes, even if they still sting from time to time. It's hard at my age. I'm not as quick as I used to be. The job market isn't kind to someone in their 60s, and the world feels different now, faster, harsher, more disconnected. But I try not to get bitter. I remind myself of the sunsets in Chiang Mai, the quiet mornings in Isan, the feeling of ocean waves on my feet in Phuket. Those memories are mine, and no one can take them away. Not even heartbreak. People often ask me if I would ever consider going back to Thailand. My answer? Maybe, one day, if the time is right. But it would be on my terms. I wouldn't go chasing love or building dreams on someone else's promises. I would go to enjoy the culture, the warmth, the beauty, not to lose myself again. Maybe I'd rent a quiet apartment by the beach, learn a bit more of the language, keep to myself, and live simply. And if I ever met someone again, I'd take it slow. I'd keep my heart open, but my wallet closed. I'd have the hard conversations early. I wouldn't try to rescue anyone or be anyone's financial plan. Love, if it comes, should be built on trust, not transactions. That's one lesson I'll never forget. I paid a high price to learn it, but it's mine now. And if I can share that with others, maybe they won't have to learn it the hard way too. So that's my story. Not one of triumph, not one of tragedy either, but one of awakening. If you're watching this and dreaming of your own life in Thailand, I won't tell you not to go. Just go with your eyes open, know who you are, know what you want, and don't give up your soul in exchange for someone else's fantasy. Thailand can be magic, but even magic has its rules. Break them, and you might just disappear. I know some of you might judge me. You'll say I should have known better, and maybe you're right. But hindsight is always clearer than the moment you're living through. Back then, I wasn't thinking with my head. I was thinking with my heart. With loneliness, with hope, with the need to believe that it wasn't too late for me to find love and purpose. That's the thing about dreams. They don't ask your age before they take hold. But dreams can turn on you, and when they do, it's not like waking up. It's like falling. Slowly at first, then all at once. One missed payment, one unanswered call, one promise broken, until you're left staring at the ceiling of a rented room wondering where it all went wrong. I spent many nights doing just that, asking myself the same questions, but there were no easy answers. Only time and silence. Now, as I speak to you, I do it not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. If sharing my story helps even one person avoid the traps I fell into, then maybe all this wasn't in vain. Maybe that's the real value of my experience. Not the love I thought I had, not the money I lost, but the truth I carry now. The hard-earned wisdom of a man who dared to believe, and paid the price for believing too deeply. If you're considering starting a life in Thailand, do it with respect for the people, for the culture, and for yourself. Don't be another naive expat throwing money at affection. Build real relationships. Learn the language. Live within your means. And above all, protect your future. Because once it's gone, once the savings are drained and the trust is broken, it's a long road back. I know, I've walked it. I'll leave you with this. Love is a beautiful thing. but it should never be purchased. Real love will stand with you in hardship. It won't disappear when the money does. It won't turn cold the moment you say no. If someone makes you feel like your worth is measured in cash, walk away. No matter how lonely you are, no matter how tempting the illusion might be, you deserve better. We all do. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've made it this far, I hope it stays with you. I hope you carry it into your own journey, wherever it may lead. Thailand gave me moments of joy, yes, but also a harsh education. And like any education, it came with a cost. I paid mine, I survived it. And now I move forward, wiser, stronger, and finally, free. What do you think? Was it love? Or just a slow, well-played game? Do you believe she ever truly cared? Or was it all about the money from the very beginning? Have you or someone you know gone through something similar in Thailand? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, help us out by liking the video and subscribing to Lost in Thailand. It means the world to us, and it helps these stories reach more people who need to hear them.